It is 11:35. Welcome back to Central Valley Talk Live. I'm Austin Reed coming to you from our Tower District studios here on this Wednesday. It is August the 11th, 2021. You know, many students start school this week here in the Central Valley. And joining us live via Zoom now is Susie Harder with the Central Valley Stuttering Center. Susie, can you hear us?
Hi, Austin. Thanks for having me today.
Hey there. Welcome to the show. We have a lot to talk about. First off, for our viewers that don't know much about the Central Valley Stuttering Center, what is it?
Yeah, so as a speech pathologist, we generally work with kids on how to better communicate with the people that they're around. And so my specialty area is working with kids who stutter and really helping kids be confident communicators. And so then that transitioned into what we'll talk about with the whole back to school program of coming out of just working, in such a hyper-focused way with kids and supporting confidence, but what are we going to do for all the kids that are going back to school and that are feeling so unsure about what's to come this year?
Yeah, I mean, my daughters, they are 5 years old twins, and they start school tomorrow, so it's very, very exciting. Let's talk a little bit. I know you wanted to bring up kind of the creek fire.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of the root of everything that has evolved, and there's kind of just that piece of when something happens, what is it that you're doing to help your community, right? And so that's what we're working on with kids, is how do you respond and do something helpful for your community. And so last year, how that kind of worked was we all collaboratively built a book, and that 100% of the proceeds went to the kids who had lost homes in the creek fire. And through that, the process, because I had never written a book before, it was just kind of like, okay, well, if we're going to do this, I'll learn and I'll kind of be the guinea pig and let's jump in. And it was really fun because all of the kids got to see it in the behind the scenes and me saying, okay, here's what's working, here's what's not working, here's what we need to figure out, and taking votes to them and letting them make the final decisions on everything. And so then when we published the book last spring, kids were just so excited. They're kind of like, okay, that was great. Also, when's our next book?
Right.
And so, okay, well, I'll work on that. So over the summer, myself and a team of educators built out a way to do that. And, the same idea of let's really involve kids in something fun, but make it meaningful for their community. And so the same 3 pillars that we were working under last year, vote, publish, give, we created a way for us to do that in kind of a nationwide school-based platform. And so that launches this week as back to school, and let's do something really fun for kids and have them involved in something meaningful.
I love it. That's great. That's great. Tell me a little bit about what it was like for you guys in the heart of the pandemic.
Yeah, so I think everyone was affected so differently. For myself, I was, as a speech pathologist, all of my sessions were on Zoom and online. So everything that I loved about my job and being in person was shifted. I have a 3 and a 6-year-old at home, and so we were doing distance learning with a 3-year-old running around in the background, and I was doing that in the morning, then I'd come to work, and it was just all of my friends, I mean, it's a joke among our friends now that they knew that I worked out in the morning, 6 to 6:45, and then I'd be in my car crying between 6:45 and 7.
Yeah.
And so they'd send me sweet, encouraging things, and then I'd start my day of distance learning and Zoom sessions. And so I think, we were just all so raw when the creek fire part happened because everyone was in such a hard spot and spread so thin. And so my goal was, how can I support these parents and really these kids? Because we're just trying to, as adults, make it right now. We're in survival mode. I can't even imagine what that is like if you've now lost your home. But how do we really create a place where kids can feel heard, seen, their opinions are valued? I'm talking to the kids, so all of the video updates, everything that we're doing is to kids. I joke that, I can't even vote on my own book because it's all in the hands of kids. So we take the votes to them and the final say.
Right.
So it's just this really neat piece of with the independent decision-making kind of taken out of the last year for a lot of kids. Let's intentionally build that back in and do it in a really fun way. So
So as we are moving through 2021, 2022 is coming up, what is the future for you guys?
Yeah, what is that? So we are, as of right now, we have it open to where we can house up to 500 elementary schools, which would mean that by the end of the year, we would have 150,000 kids that would have had an experience publishing a book and using 100% of the proceeds to do something locally in their own community. And the difference this year is that we're facilitating it through the schools and through the classrooms. And so each school kind of acts as its own hub. And so when the book is published, they buy it directly from the printing press, wholesale, and then use it as, their students, if they choose to do a book signing and like a book launch party. We have an activity where the 4th, 5th, 6th graders are writing press releases to their local newspaper, promoting their events, and then all of those proceeds go from those students to something meaningful in the community. And so knowing that it's such a weird year, the transition back, there's so much uncertainty, but how we can kind of intersect and kind of complement that is, let's give something that has a plan and that's fun. And it kind of gives a home base too for all of the academics and things that will be so much of a focus this year. But really, if we attach it to something that's meaningful, that resonates so differently. And so like last year, a lot of the kids were finishing their distance learning packets just so they could work on the book, because they had, different activities that they were doing and Illustrator notes and kind of just all the behind the scenes stuff. And it was so exciting. They're kind of like, okay, well, let me get all of this done. And then we started doing classroom activities that were based on, writing prompt and compare and contrast and just different stuff that it's so easy for us to tailor it to that. And they were kind of like, okay, well, my teacher's been asking me to do a lot of editing. Is that a real thing? Yeah, it's a real thing. Let me show you my stack of edits. And they're kind of like, whoa, okay, I believe it.
Yeah.
So it's just really neat to be able to kind of be transparent in that way. And that my job has always been to kind of help kids feel heard and seen. And then this ends up giving me a way to do that in a much kind of different way, but along the same lines.
People can learn more at centralvalleystutteringcenter.com.
Ooh.
Is that right?
Yeah, let me give you a better one.
Oh, yeah.
So the new school-based program is Authorable.
Okay.
So authorable.com, and what people can do is they can nominate their school. And so then we reach out to the school site and see if they'd like to be a part of it to help build some books and help communities this year.
All right, very good. Susie, thank you for joining us, and happy new school year.
Happy back to school. Good luck
Right.
to your daughters.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Austin Reed. You're watching Central Valley Talk. We'll be back with another guest in just a few minutes. Hang tight.